Welcome everyone, welcome. Listen to this, I want you to hear this. You know what that is? This very cup I used to have out there with me on the road with you guys along in 2010. It's one of the only things that I still have, and I never realized it once that one time Little Dog was in here and he says, you know, you're known for the sound of that cup. It's in all of your films. I never realized that before until I then started paying attention to it. And yes, it just became one of the things that I've had with me. I like this cup. That has absolutely nothing to do with this show. This show is all about recruiting, as you know. Saturdays at noon, right here in Calhoun, Georgia, live on tape. And we're here talking about our favorite subject, anything with 18 wheels on it. The trucking industry. And this is Ask a Trucking Recruiter. And you can send your questions in to me at askatruckingrecruiter.com. And that's me. I'm Indiana Jack, and I'm here to talk about all things trucking related. And this week, we're talking about, maybe it's a sensitive subject to some, but it's a subject called recruiting immigration. Immigrants coming here to drive your trucks and my trucks here in the United States. And the reason we're doing this show, not because it's in the news, immigration, but because it's over the years, it's been my number one question. Immigrants from another country, usually it's India or Pakistan or one of those kind of countries, a driver there wanting to come here to the United States, they think that I'm an immigration specialist or that I can bring them here to the United States to drive for me. And we will talk about that in depth and to see if I am qualified to bring you, an immigrant, right here to the United States to do the truck driving job. And we're going to get started right away with the show about immigration. And I'm going to talk to you about the different visas that you need to immigrate here legally. If you're illegal, you don't need anything. You just go to the border, especially with the way things are going right now. You just walk up, they let you in, and poof, you start driving a truck tomorrow. Immigrant visas, the different kind of visas that you as a foreign person can get. Now, the tricky thing is you got to get a sponsor here in the United States to sponsor you so that they can invite you to come to the United States. So I understand they're wanting to contact me thinking they want me to sponsor them. And man, I'd have a huge family if I brought in every immigrant that's contacted me over the years. Before someone, an immigrant, can come to the United States, and the one reason I just want to say this, my grandfather was an immigrant to the United States from Sweden. He did it the legal way. It took him years to get here. He finally got here, came over on the Lusitania, and went through Ellis Island. It was all very organized, changed his name to what it is now and what my name is. And so it is a subject that I hold close to my heart, but I can't help you. But I can help you by telling you immigrants, and just those of you who are interested in different visas that your sponsor is going to have to get for you. One is a family-based visa. And that's if you already have family here, they can sponsor you and go through the long process of bringing you here to the United States. Family-based, okay? That's number one. Number two, a fiancé visa. What in the world is a fiancé visa? That is, if, let's say, you find someone you love and she's beautiful and you want to marry her, you can sponsor her, bring her to the United States on a visa, and marry her within 90 days. But the test is really rigorous. Like when she's still over in her other country and they're testing her, they're finding out whether she's really someone that's in love with you and vice versa. So that is one way to immigrate here. If you can capture the heart of someone here in the United States, there's a chance that you might come in to the United States with a fiancé visa. And boy, they don't just let everyone do that. You know why? Because the terrorists know this is an easy way to come to the United States and create all kind of havoc. So they're really cracking down on that, people doing it falsely and people doing it coming here on a fiancé visa and it just being a sham. So that's not an easy way, but it is, listen to this, it's the cheapest way. If you don't have money, like let's say your sponsor here doesn't have a lot of money, that's the easiest way to get someone here is to sponsor them in a visa, a fiancé visa. The one that people write me most about, I don't get a lot of offers on the fiancé one, but the one that people write to me about most is the employment-based immigration. People think because I work for a trucking company now that I can invite drivers here to come here from the United States and drive for me. Especially now because I'm a recruiter. I can't recruit you from another country. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't. It's beyond what I can do. I cannot sponsor you as an employment, on the employment visa. That is for, and maybe I could, like if we were growing here, and we are, but let's say I needed someone to stamp out widgets. I could bring and sponsor someone from another country and bring them here. It'd be for them like winning the lottery, right? So let's read the different kinds of ways of workers that the government thinks we should sponsor here. Skilled workers. That's people who have a minimum of 2 years of training in their profession. Professionals, people in universities, college people, and they have a degree. That's a professional person. And unskilled workers, which those people can be brought here, and that's unfortunately what truck drivers would be labeled under, because the training requirement for a truck driver is less than 2 years. So I would imagine if your sponsor brought you here on an employment visa under the unskilled worker label, he would have to make sure that you got a job, make sure you were productive, make sure you weren't going to be someone that would just sit home and watch video games, like many people here in the United States, so that you wouldn't be someone that wanted to live off the dole of all of us working folk. And you know what? A lot of you would be willing to work hard like my grandfather. You would be willing to pull your own weight So I would admire that. I wish I could bring you all over here to do jobs that some Americans won't do. Trucking is becoming like fruit picking or vegetable picking, you know, that kind of work where Americans don't want to do it. So there's a shortage of truck drivers right now because of that reason. This show is based on your questions. Ask a trucking recruiter, and that's me. And so we read your questions live right here on the show. Eventually we will have a call-in number where you can call in live Saturdays at noon. But right now we don't have that capability, so we're taking your questions live right here. I'm Indiana Jack, and let's answer the first question. Thank you, Mike McMeekin, for writing in. Appreciate all of your comments and the email that I get throughout the week. Mike says, I have a 2017 Kenworth, and I am looking for a used dry van to purchase. I have been looking for 3 months now and cannot find any at anywhere. Do you have any recommendations? Right now, trailers, trucks too, but trailers have dried up around the country. Dry van, they've dried up. There are none. You cannot find a dry van anywhere. None of the rental companies have them. None of the old storage yards where there's hundreds of trailers usually sitting there. They're all being used. So I really don't know. There's no way to get a trailer that I know of, except just keep looking. I know that the owner of Traveloko, I don't tell anybody of this because it's still a secret, but we might be someday renting out trailers because of the need for it. So if you were a smart businessman, you'd buy a bunch of trailers and rent them out. But I don't know of any way to get trailers right now. I apologize. Sorry, Mike. You know that a show like this takes some sponsors, and I won't take too long. A lot of you are complaining that I'm talking about sponsors too much, but they drive this show. All of our sponsors. Number one is, of course, Nugo Trucking. Appreciate your response with them. They're filling up trucks. They have trucks that you can drive. They're Freightliners and be a company driver. That's Nugo Trucking. I'll put the information down below in the show notes. Second one is DAT Solutions. I've been using them for years. Their load boards are the biggest. They have the most loads on them. You need that for your trucking business. You cannot survive without being able to find your loads, and the way to do that is through DAT Solutions. If you call them today or click on the link below, tell them Indiana Jack sent you, and you'll get a month free. And that's at DAT Solutions. And number 3, Traveloko, the home of 85%, where you get to pick your own freight. You're in charge of your trucking business, which is how it should be, right? You should be in charge of what you're doing, and they will certainly make sure that you're in charge there at Traveloko. 85% of the real rate con, and make sure that you tell them that Indiana Jack sent you to talk to their recruiters over there. Back to immigration. We're talking about immigration. And why am I bringing that up? I told you why. Because of my association with my grandfather, and it's in the news and all kind of things like that. There's legal immigration, which we've talked about earlier, and there's illegal immigration. Can you, as an illegal immigrant, come to the United States and be a truck driver, keeping your current identity? No, I don't think there's a way to do it. So if you come over the border illegally, you're going to have to stay hidden. If you have a sugar daddy or a sugar mama that can sponsor you and keep you sheltered, then I guess you could live here, but You wouldn't be able to be a truck driver. You would have to just live at home, sheltered. In some cases, you might live a better life. I remember, and this is kind of stretching it, whether this has to do with immigration, but when I was a truckling, when I was going to trucking school, I was in a Mexican truck where the trainer was Mexican, the 3 other applicants were Mexican, and I was the only English-speaking American. The trainer would only speak Spanish, and I had to ask him repeatedly, hey, could you repeat that in English for me, please, so that I understand? And he eventually did, and he started saying it in English and then in Spanish too, so that I would understand. But I don't think those guys were illegal. They were from Mexico, or I'm not sure where they were from. 2 of them I remember being from Mexico, and I forgot where the other one was Puerto Rican from New York City. So illegally, if you're coming over the border, don't expect to get an American truck driving job, okay? Because with all that we have to go through, did you watch show number 1? By the way, this is show number 6. Show number 1 was all of the stack of documents that you have to have when driving a truck. You have to have that. If you're an illegal driver, you can't drive because you can't get that stack of documents that you need. Question number 2, appreciate your questions. Ed writes, right with what we're talking about right now. Ed writes, many of the foreigners I see on the road are the ones throwing trash and leaving piss bottles all around. They should not be able to drive here. That, my friend, is not true. I see, and when I was on the road, just as many Caucasian people throwing trash around, leaving their urine bottles all around as any other race. I don't, that's not a race thing. I don't know why. I've heard that before, and I will have to disagree with you on that. That it's because a lot of foreigners love this country more than the American themselves. They come here and worship the fact that they got here. So I disagree with you, Ed. You can say that kind of thing here on the show, but I can also disagree with you. All right, we were continuing on with the different ways of immigrating here. And I read the family-based immigration, the fiance-based. By the way, if you bring your fiance here, you have to marry her or him within 90 days. If you get here or she gets here and you decide, or you wait too long, that person has to go back home if you're not married within 90 days. And a diversity visa. What is that, you say? That, my friends, is kind of like more like the lottery. Like everyone buying a lottery ticket. The lottery is you apply, and I guess they draw your name, and you get to come over here. So it's like a lottery. Winning the lottery of being able to come here. People actually want to come here. They want to come here and work. They're willing to wait years. And you guys are such hard workers. Every immigrant that I know is a very, very hard worker, including my grandfather. Question, another question. Okay. Morning Angel writes, and these, when someone calls in and they call themselves a nickname, just like I call myself Indiana Jack, that's a trucker handle, like on the, because I do get questions about why do people call in and they don't give their real name. Well, that's usually a trucking handle. In this case, the truck driver, I don't know his real name, he writes, "Good morning, morning Angel. Last week, my ELD put me on the driving line for 3 minutes, but I really wanted to be on a yard move, and it blanked up." He didn't say the word blanked. "And it wrecked my 10-hour break. My safety guy says he will not fix it for me. What can I do?" You know, there's a new rule that safety cannot, or no one in the trucking industry can change your logs from, if once you go on the driving line, that's it. Not even God can change it. He could change it, but it would have to be supernatural. He cannot, no one can change your driving status once you accidentally, or if the ELD, for whatever reason, accidentally puts you there. No one can change that. That's it. It's gospel. So what I would maybe do, the only thing maybe you could do is contact Rick Gobble. And I've talked about him throughout the years. He's a trucking guru, used to be in the FMCSA. And he can, I doubt he can do anything, but Google Rick Gobble, and you'll see his name will pop up. He's on Dave Nemo's show all the time. My favorite Dave Nemo guest is Rick Gobble. Your questions are what drive the show, other than our subject. And Erdy writes, "I've been watching you for years, and you don't seem to smile and laugh as much like you used to. Are you unhappy being in the office?" I am not unhappy being here. But you know, an office is a different setting than being a truck driver. It is more serious, and I probably act more serious here because we talk about serious subjects. Not that the subjects I talked about in the other show weren't serious, but that was a show where I showed you things. Like, you didn't see my face much in that show. You saw what I saw. I always pointed the camera out, so it wasn't on me. I was talking about what I was seeing and what was happening to me on the road as a truck driver. Here, it is more serious. I apologize. I will try to smile more. I don't want it to seem fake or unreal, but I'm the same person I've always been, but I take this recruiting business and the truck driving business very serious, as you should too, as an owner-operator. Hey, thanks for watching. We covered a lot of the subject with immigration. Sorry I can't bring you here. I'll say for the last time, if I do bring you here, you would be very lucky because it's such a hard thing to do. So, but thanks for writing in about immigration all these years. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching this show, number 6, all about immigration and trucking. I'm Indiana Jack. This is Ask a Trucking Recruiter, and we'll see you next time.